The conversation around Horizon Forbidden West ever since the game came out has been surprisingly negative. Now, I've already almost platinumed the game, I just can't stop playing it, and while running around in the world of it, it feels like everything in this really has a very refined sense of polish. The game is fun, the graphics are practically photorealistic, and somehow it's making people very mad. I want to talk about the downvote bombing, the Metacritic reviews that have 0.0 stars that are starting to flood the internet, and why I think they're downright stupid. What's up, gamers? DreamcastGuy here. Now, before we start to look at some of the cringe, please do me a favor, like this video and subscribe if you haven't already. But now, let's start to look at it. So, what's interesting about this is that over here on Metacritic, for the most part, the game is being very loved. From the critic score, it does have an 88 with 105 reviews. Yeah, it's not exactly a 90, but that is an incredibly high score when you consider the fact that this is basically the big giant early year exclusive for PlayStation. But when you start to look at the Metacritic user scores, it starts to tell a different story. Now, this is of course on PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5. If you look at it on PlayStation 4, people are incredibly pissed. I started just glancing through these to see if they'd have any legitimate criticisms, because let's face it, the game isn't perfect. I gave the game a 9 out of 10, and while I'm having fun with it, I'm not going to act like it's some perfect masterpiece. But what's interesting is that a lot of the complaints are honestly just ridiculous. Worst sequel of all time. Bad story, repetitive gameplay, filler side quests. Okay, so definitely not the worst sequel of all time. This is dramatic hyperbole from somebody named DJ5405. Probably the biggest disappointment in a while. I had very high expectations. The story is bland and unimaginative. The gameplay is very boring. Even the lauded graphics are underwhelming. Well, I'm sure you mean graphics, but you're too much of a moron to press the S key. Really dropped the ball here. Okay, so immediately, as you begin to dive into these weird 0-star reviews, they're definitely incorrect. Objectively, to say the story is unimaginative, this is a world with robot dinosaurs. I'm not sure if you exist in a real world with robot dinosaurs, but at the very least, it's imaginative. Even if you don't like the story, these criticisms are ridiculously bad. Now, I think this next 0-star review really begins to shine a light on where these bad takes are coming from. Buggy mess sliding all over the floor. You could be riding around and all of a sudden be stopped by a tree that just popped right in front of you. You should have delayed. I don't think the critics that scored this 100 actually played the game at all. Now, what's interesting is this is something I keep seeing across Twitter. Xbox Twitter specifically. There seems to be these people that are looking at the tiniest glitches and acting like the game is broken. Additionally, there's this weird narrative that every reviewer gave it a 100, but if you actually look at the scores, even the recommended ones here on the side, most of them are mid to high 90s to some low to mid 80s. Acting like everybody gave this 100s back to back is statistically inaccurate. So I was curious to see what the gamers think. I find myself to be in a very unique position because oftentimes I beat something way before it comes out, which reminds me, thanks everybody for the 6,000 likes on the Horizon Forbidden West review. It's been very bonkers. And a lot of times after a game comes out, for me, some of the fun is getting a chance to sit down and look at other people's reviews, other people's takes, other people's favorites, loves, and hates. You know, how it's being treated by the general public now that the game's been released. And for the most part, it feels like most people have been incredibly positive. Like here's Shinobi. I'm astounded by the level of detail of every character model in Horizon Forbidden West. Conversations with NPCs are full of great camera work, fantastic animations, and nuanced movement and expressions. Now, anybody who's played the game knows that this is definitely accurate. The jump in facial technology is something the rest of the industry is now going to be keeping up. This is the new gold standard. I've even seen things like this. Horizon Forbidden West is the best game I've played since Breath of the Wild. In terms of world building, quality side quests, it's on par or better than Witcher 3. This is a legit gem. Now, this is interesting to me because honestly, these are incredibly high praise. These are people that are extremely into the game itself. But with the good, you also get the bad. But the people that are the most vocally complaining about Horizon Forbidden West seem to be people who are very strangely motivated to hate it. Now, most people, I'm not going to just straw man here, a lot of them are Xbox YouTubers. Almost every single tweet I've seen with hundreds of claiming that Horizon Forbidden West is a bad game are these strange ones like this. I'm starting to see all the minor gripes people are having with Horizon Forbidden West. The fanboys won't admit it, but they know deep down that this isn't as impactful as the first game. It's now officially critically identical to Halo while they trashed it for months. I say they had it coming. There's this weird sense of revenge out there, especially on Twitter, where people are obsessed with the failure of Horizon Forbidden West. Now, to me, this is actually kind of fascinating because I think most gamers are not like this. I think most people are either going to play a game or skip a game purely because of their own interests. I do think that 95% of gamers are people that wake up, they see a cool trailer, they read a cool review, and they either choose to buy or skip a game. I also think that this is definitely, there's no point beating around the bush. It does heavily come down to if you have a PlayStation 5 or not. I beat this both on PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5. The PS5 version is just staggeringly gorgeous. And because this is a tech demo with dinosaurs, a lot of people are picking it up no matter what if they have a PlayStation 5. There are these strange people, though, that definitely just live on the internet who typically have these green backgrounds. Like, here's another one. This guy, Xbox Series X. Jim Ryan still hasn't delivered a 90 on Metacritic, and appears Horizon Forbidden West is not even recommended by Eurogamer. Also, technical issues. Suspending my Horizon Forbidden West purchased for the moment till it's fixed. You see, these people are very much cherry-picking the most negative takes about the game itself. Another beautiful technical achievement, Horizon Forbidden West is held back by clunky characters and new features. So, I'm not going to act like this person is dead wrong. I actually think that part of the joy of reviews is that even if a particular person enjoys something or hates something, it doesn't mean you're objectively correct. It's interesting that this person didn't like the game. I'm actually very interested to read what they didn't like. But let's face it, with an 88 on Metacritic, this guy cherry-picked the most negative score he could find simply to fit his argument. Now, especially, I don't want to bully this guy specifically, but his profile picture is a Sony fanboy crying. Okay, I just want to say, people like this are definitely the humans that are writing these reviews if they're being written by humans. I'm actually looking at this on the PlayStation 4. It's getting tons and tons and tons of negative reviews, just spamming it right now. Everybody's either doing full 10 out of 10 or basically a 0 out of 10. But a lot of these are just ridiculous. Bad story, boring open world fetch quest, tedious mechanics, bland and uninspired characters, mediocre at best, 2 out of 10. This is ridiculous. What's the problem with Metacritic? It's not letting me give this game a 10 out of 10. Very bad graphics and optimization, constant bugs with stuck-in features, constant loading of textures. It's more like it's not a second part, but for how the first part should have looked, finally they slightly... Is this written by someone having a freaking stroke? It more likes not the second part, but for how... Okay, this guy clearly, touch grass. And please, my God, I will pay you to read a book. Ghost? That's not even how ghost is spelled. I do like that people are downvote bombing this specific comment. It's time for a justice. Kids giving 0 to this game. They didn't even play this game. They're ruining the game score. I'm here to get rid of lower scores because of those kids. These are just bonkers. Let's start off with the good. The graphics are great, but now let's talk about how unattractive Aloy is. Okay, look, I don't want to bully this guy whose name is Stoids, but let's just face facts. If you think a woman who looks like this is unattractive, you've probably never seen a woman or touched grass. I think a little bit of sunlight on your face will probably do a lot of good. Talk to women. Any woman. It doesn't have to be, you can get on Tinder, you could just, make a conversation with somebody at a supermarket. This is an attractive character model. It's a video game character, so who cares? But trying to, like, the constant amount of comments in these review bombs that are just specifically laser beamed on how ugly Aloy are, something about that feels really creepy. It feels like these people that are mad about Aloy being a woman or something. Look, I don't know. It's very, very strange. I think that this is honestly very, very hilarious. I'm having so much freaking fun with Horizon Forbidden West, and honestly, looking at Twitter, everybody else is as well. The conversation has been positive. People are sort of just blown away by the graphical leap. But you know what? If you hate it, that's okay too. Not every game has to be for every person. But this weird, specific, full-time job that certain people seem to have to just hating every PlayStation game, or on the other side of the coin, the weird people that obsessively despise anything released on Game Pass, it's weird. It's weird. I just want you to know that. It's weird. Okay, thanks so much for watching, gamers. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a giant thumbs up, share with your friends, and subscribe if you haven't already. But do me the biggest favor of all, and keep dreaming. I'm wearing this new Spider-Man shirt I bought that I really like. I got it from Target for like $5, but I was actually a little bit nervous that this green would become clear. But I guess I'll know when I edit this video. We're gonna find out. Time to eat nachos. Thanks so much for watching that video. If you want to see something else, you can always click this link to see what I put up last, or, you know, subscribe and see what's coming up next. Also, I promise that whatever I do, it'll try not to suck.